Yeah.
Hey yo, man, it's your time. And fuck poverty. Get this money, man. What the fuck you gotta do, you know what I'm saying?
I can tell you're mad at me just by how your face.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Phil Leroy Judgemental podcast.
This Phil back in the house.
And I'm Leroy. Well, Vanilla Mafia, the Vanilla ISIS, the unmelanated folks rioted on the Capitol building. Wednesday was January the 6th, if I'm not mistaken. So you first alerted me to it because during the daytime I keep the TV off. And you had alerted me that something was going on. So when you first seen it, what was your thoughts?
I said, "Oh shit, these fools acting crazy down here. They about to tear shit up." Because they had gun. First, I think it was an inside job. To tell you the truth, like
we'll get into that.
Because when they bum rushed, it seemed like the guards wasn't really trying to do nothing. Security wasn't trying to do nothing. They just pretty much like go ahead.
Now, meet Robert Keith Parker. Robert Keith Parker is the guy that had the Auschwitz sweatshirt on. Here's a video.
Breaking news, we're learning how the FBI identified a Newport News man as one of the rioters at the Capitol. According to this affidavit from FBI agents, they identified Robert Keith Parker with help from media outlets, but it was also a cooperating witness, we've learned, in Hampton Roads who helped seal the deal. Now, Parker is the man who was photographed both inside and outside the Capitol wearing that Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt, referring to the Holocaust concentration camps. Media outlets identified Parker over the weekend, and then the FBI even received some more help from someone who recognized Parker as a routine customer at a store from Newport News. The FBI then pulled surveillance from that store and found Parker wearing the same exact sweatshirt with Camp Auschwitz written on the front. Agents arrested Parker yesterday morning. He appeared virtually before a judge where he was granted release from jail. He does not have to pay a bond, but must stay away from D.C. for now. Ashley, this affidavit's interesting in that it kind of gives us insight into how the FBI is working to identify some of the rioters.
The government is not seeking detention for Robert Keith Parker, so he's being released on his own recognizance. Will not have to pay bond, but must agree to stay out of D.C. and appear virtually in a hearing in D.C. District Court on the 19th. Now, he's either already an agent or he went in there and started telling everything that was going on. One of the
now, did he go inside the Capitol or was he just outside?
Yes, it was a picture of him when they were showing a video of him inside the Capitol.
Okay. Oh yeah, he definitely telling, just like everybody else.
Or he's already an agent or an informant. I don't know what you want to call it. Now, here's your point about the. I actually told someone this when all this was going on that this was it was an inside job. Here's a video of someone saying the same thing.
Video footage suggests that several suspects employed military tactics during last week's assault on the Capitol. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge has been looking into this, and she joins us now from the Capitol. Catherine, what have you learned? I know that, there was one piece of video I was watching the other day. I found it so disturbing. It was clear that the rioters had taken shields from the officers, and then they were yelling instructions to each other about how to use the shields properly against the police officers. And I remember thinking at the time, man, that's not just some casual knowledge. These people know exactly what they're doing.
Well, Anne-Marie, good morning. A law enforcement official confirms to CBS News that the identification of rioters who use these military-style tactics is a Tier 1 priority for the U.S. Attorney's Sedition Task Force here in Washington.
With federal investigators sifting through more than 130,000 digital media tips, some videos stand out.
I ran this by probably 3 or 4 senior SWAT guys, and we all kind of agreed some kind of training.
Scott Sweeto is a former FBI and ATF explosives expert who investigated the 1995 Oklahoma City and 1996 Centennial Olympic Park bombings.
You have all these people that are facing away from the Capitol. They're singing. And then you have this group that is moving quickly and with a purpose up the steps of the Capitol. That's pretty scary when you look at what those people are doing.
Officials say former or current military and law enforcement have already been arrested for participating in last week's attack. The Pentagon says Jacob Fracker, one of 2 off-duty Virginia cops arrested for breaking into the Capitol, is a corporal in the Virginia National Guard. And the Army is still trying to determine the current status of Thomas Robertson, who apparently served at different times both for the National Guard and reserves. CBS News has learned videos like this drew immediate scrutiny because they mirror tactics used by law enforcement and the military to navigate hostile or unknown environments.
What are small unit tactics?
Small unit tactics are ways that military can blanket and communicate and try to get to a primary target that they have.
Frank Salufo is a former senior Homeland Security official.
This isn't out of a basement. This isn't playing a whole lot of video games. This is something that there was some training here. There's no question.
Once the Capitol was breached, CBS News has learned a D.C. police officer witnessed some rioters using military-style hand signals to communicate.
It would not be unusual for people to come up with physical signals such as tapping them, pulling on them, something that would work in a crowd where you had a lot of noise and a lot of chaos.
Why is the identification of individuals like this so important to the investigation?
At the end of the day, a small number of sophisticated actors can do a whole lot of harm.
This case is shaping up to be one of the largest in U.S. history that relies so heavily on videotape evidence. In addition to social media, CBS News is told that federal investigators are pouring through thousands of hours of closed-circuit TV security footage at the Library of Congress, the Supreme Court, and the Capitol building itself, as well as police body cam videos. Anne-Marie.
So do investigators know if these police officers and the soldiers that participated in this assault, whether or not, their presence is indicative of a larger problem of, anti-government elements in law enforcement or in the military?
First things first, really. The important thing, I'm told, is to identify these individuals and then to understand what their backgrounds are and whether there was pre-planning, premeditation, and coordination between these individuals. So if you have a small group like that video that we highlighted in our reporting, is that in isolation or is it part of something bigger? So that's why the identification, Anne-Marie, of these individuals is such a high priority for this sedition task force here in Washington.
So one of the men photographed that was sort of shared widely was in the chamber. He was holding zip ties, and he's a retired U.S. Air Force lieutenant colonel. He has been arrested. But what do we know about the investigation into him? And, what do we know about what he intended to do with those zip ties?
To tie somebody up.
News was really among the first
right?
organizations to report, based on our law enforcement contacts, that investigators were exploring whether some of the rioters had come to harm lawmakers and even take hostages. And I was quickly pointed to 2 individuals
like Michael
who had what amounted to handcuffs. One was a sort of plastic cuff, and the other were these zip ties that can function as handcuffs, especially in riot situations. So what we're seeing alleged here is the intent to take hostages on this Capitol Hill campus. And this further underscores how what happened last Wednesday really could have been so much more severe than what played out in the end.
As each day passes, we are learning more and more sort of disturbing information about all the things that went wrong on Wednesday. The Washington Post reported that dozens of suspected white supremacists successfully congregated in Washington, D.C., and many of them were on terrorist watch lists. What is your sense of, the threat level on the ground ahead of Joe Biden swearing in on Wednesday?
Well, Anne-Marie, I first came to Washington, D.C. 1 month after 9/11 in October to cover then Homeland Security Advisor Tom Ridge. So I've seen the whole scope over the last 2 decades of the threat environment. This threat environment, I think, is one of the most intense I have seen during that time period, in part because there are multiple groups who are at play here, and the conditions have almost become like this, almost like a witch's brew of conditions. That intelligence bulletin that was just put out by FBI, Homeland Security, and the National Counterterrorism Center that tracks extremists talked about political divisions, racial divisions, the impact of the lockdown, and then the fraudulent allegations that the presidential election was stolen. You take all of that together, and it took disparate groups, it got them over that threshold from thinking about acting out violently to actually committing these acts of violence. And what I think was most concerning about that bulletin that I reviewed is that they say last week's overrun of the Capitol is really going to be a driver, they believe, of violence in the future, kind of like an accelerant, as opposed to being one bookend of the story.
It is not over yet. Catherine Herridge, thank you so much.
Her reaction was funny at the end of that. Did you check it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have any thoughts before I ask you a question?
On the whole riot situation, well, I'll tell you one thing. When I first saw it, I knew it was like police and military involved because, like you said, being in the military for a long time, you kind of like pick up on little stuff, just the way they carry themselves, the movements, the way they dress. Like you like, oh, this guy must be in the military. So I already had that inkling, like it had to be like police and military involved in this whole shit. You know what I mean?
Now, a question about the military hand signals. Is there such thing as a military hand signals? And when you saw these videos, how you said you can pretty much look and tell what's going on, did you see any hand signals?
Well, I was more listening to what they were saying than actually watching the video to see what's going on. But I did see the way they horse collared each other and move. We kind of do that in the military, and so do police.
Explain the horse collar.
Well, it was just on the video I saw a little bit of when you grab someone from over their collar, everybody line up and like pull each other up like that.
Mm-hmm.
We did stuff like that during training. But like I said, I wasn't focusing too much on the video, then more just listening to what they were saying.
Here's Robert Stanford, Chester, PA, retired fighter. Here's a great example how people are full of shit.
Case against the retired Chester firefighter seen in this angry crowd.
He's seen on video assaulting officers trying to protect the Capitol. Action News reporter George Solis is live now in Center City with more on the allegations. George.
Hey, Sarah and Brian. Sanford appearing virtually in federal court this afternoon to answer for those charges in connection with the video related to that siege at the Capitol. The judge denying his release at the request of his attorney, saying he was a threat to the public. Federal authorities have now identified a retired firefighter from Chester as a man seen in images hurling a fire
right back at that motherfucker.
Yep.
Capitol.
That damn John Elway with that thing.
Throwing the extinguisher that struck 3 police officers. Court documents obtained by Action News revealed it was a longtime friend of Sanford that identified him to the FBI.
His own boy, huh?
Sanford confessed to that friend. He was one the feds were looking for. The charging documents going on to say Sanford traveled to D.C. on a bus with a group, listened to the president, and on his orders began heading to the Capitol. Action News stopping by Sanford's last known address in Upper Chichester and found no one home. A nearby neighbor shocked by the allegations.
If he did it, I don't think it was called for him to do it.
He's on camera, man.
Charged.
The shit out of that thing.
He should go to jail.
During Sanford's initial federal court appearance, his defense attorney doing his best to play up Sanford as a husband, father, and firefighter in the city of Chester.
Nobody want to hear that shit.
Sanford a flight risk and a danger to the public. In a statement, Mayor Thaddeus Kirkland noting Sanford is not a current employee of the city, adding, quote, "On behalf of the city of Chester, I offer my deepest, most heartfelt condolences to the family and friends who lost a loved one as a result of the events that transpired on that day." One former acquaintance of Sanford who asked we not show her face says the allegations are a far cry from the man she remembers.
I'm shocked because Bobby wasn't like that when I met him. You know, he wasn't like that. That wasn't the Bobby I know.
Yeah, okay. Yes, it was.
Yep.
Now in court this afternoon, it was revealed that Sanford did turn in his passport in the hopes that it would help his case for release. The judge, again, not buying it, his attorney adding he was not affiliated with any extremist groups. However, it was revealed that during a search warrant at his house, they did find a Proud Boys t-shirt inside of the home. You're live in Center City. George Solis, Channel 6, Action News. Back.
Now, you claim to be in the Blue Lives Matter and we love our boys in blue and all that shit, but here's my man just threw a fire extinguisher, and you see
at a cop, yeah.
But as you see, he threw it with the guy. He had a helmet on with his back to the side. Did you see in front of him? It was a cop or a security guard. I don't know, because he didn't have. Well, he had a jacket on, so I can't see his uniform on. He didn't have on anything. Now, suppose that fire extinguisher hit that man in the face.
But that's how the other cop died. He got hit with the fire extinguisher in the head.
Yep. That's ridiculous. You can't talk about Blue Lives Matter and throw a fire extinguisher at a cop. And here's my man as a retired fighter. I'm assuming he's probably getting between 3 to 5 grand a month, but he want to go out there and wild out, huh?
And his best friend told on him too. Ain't that something?
It's your own people.
And there's a whole bunch of that going on. Because did you see the lady that got her nose busted when she tried to grab the reporter's mask?
Yeah.
When she got her face busted up and she was bleeding, her daughter called the police on her and said, "That's my mom." So she was like, she went to a Black Lives rally, and then her mom kicked her out when her mom found out she went. And then her mom turned around and went down there acting a fool. She said, "That's my mom, that's my uncle, and that's such and such." She told on 3 people.
Yep. It'd be your own people. Now, what I hate about this is now all of a sudden, the reporters and everybody have to ask black athletes their view on it. And and strangely enough, though, the person I'm going to give props to is my new friend. He's not my new friend. I'm going to give him on a friendship scale, I'll probably give him about a 3. Because, listen to my new friend, D'Angelo Russell. On a scale of friends, he's a 3. Tennis the best, I give him a 3.
This point in history that we're all in right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in any rush right now. I think it's the perfect time to do this. We got John, Dane, Britt, Jace, Chris.
Oh, sorry. They doing a press conference on Zoom. They do that now. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to everybody out here. And that's why the sound quality is the way it is, because they're Zooming press conferences now.
I'd like to get you guys' opinion first, and then we can play it that way. Because we obviously know what my opinion is. We know what everybody else around the experience. We don't get to hear you guys' opinion on that stuff. So I'd love to hear your opinion, and we can play tennis with that.
When I saw it, I think I put something out too, because I saw Cam Reynolds, who used to play here and now plays with the Bucks, kind of put something out about how, it was really interesting that the way that some police, kind of reacted to Black Lives Matter protests and things of that nature with real force, and did not seem to provide the same sort of resistance to the white protesters that were or rioters that were storming the Capitol there. And there was some hypocrisy there. And to me, I don't know what you guys feel, but I'm trying to put myself in your guys' shoes, and it can only, be heartbreaking to try and, think what you guys are seeing after what you all experienced this summer. And you were on the front lines in Louisville and doing a lot of different things. To me, it's quite frankly, both heartbreaking and just brings a rage about you to see it that way and see people treated differently. That's how I looked at it.
Respect that. What about you, Dane?
Honestly, for me, it's embarrassing as a white person. I think it just shined a really sad light on just a separation in our society.
They have go more into it. That was a little 2-minute clip, but the actual press conference is like 16 minutes long. But all I gotta say is, bravo, D'Angelo. On a scale of friends, I give him about a 3 because
for passing the mic.
That shit with Nick Young, you can never come back from that with that shit you did with Nick Young. But I'll talk to him now. He's my friend now. I talk to him, but I definitely won't have you around my woman, and I definitely won't leave no food in front of you. And where I walk somewhere to get something to drink or get some napkins, because he'll probably spit in it or something like that. So, props to D'Angelo for doing that. Don't ask me about the situations going on there. I want to know what's Tom Brady thoughts of it. Tom Brady has a game today, so I'm pretty sure he was doing press conferences all week. Did anybody ask him his thoughts?
Probably not.
What about your boy Bill Belichick? That's his friend. So won't you ask him about what he thinks about that march in the Capitol? Don't ask me about that. They always go to black athletes. Then the NHL is playing. Anybody ask an NHL athlete what they thoughts on a riot in the Capitol? Don't
But I
ask.
think,
You
but
always
I
coming
think,
to black people for this
I
shit. But
think
go
they,
ahead.
I think they go after the black people like that to try to get them to say something stupid. You know what I mean? Because we quick to make sure we let our feelings and emotions be heard. Where if you ask the white guy that, he might just say no comment. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Next question, just like that. And we don't know how to do that. Next question, no comment. We jump right in with emotions and everything.
So props to D'Angelo for like you said, passing the mic, because
He's a
go ahead.
D'Angelo is a permanent one on the friendship level. He can't get up no higher. No higher.
So a 3 is too high.
Your 3 is way too high.
So if he say, "Hey, what's up?" Would you say, "Hey, how you doing?"
He's never gonna say what's up to me. He don't know
No,
me.
I'm just saying, if you was on a team and he said, "Hey, how you doing?" Would you say hi?
Yeah, I'll speak to him. I wouldn't hang out with him and no shit like that.
So if y'all on a basketball court and he mess up, would you like correct him, or you'll just say, "Well, look, that's on him"?
Yeah, I would correct him.
Oh, okay. But there's no way you a roommate would, right?
Roommate hanging out, you can forget all that shit.
Well, since we on the sports, we have to the elephants in the room, Phil. We got to talk about Doug Peterson and the Eagles. Here's a video on Doug Peterson's firing.
Welcome to the 6 ABC Sports Flash. I have left my house and I'm out here in South Philadelphia. I'm Jamie Apodi. Well, last week we talked all about tanking, but never did we talk about the prospect that Doug Peterson would not be the Eagles head coach. And here we are a week later, and look at what has happened. My, how things have turned. Peterson, the only coach to ever bring the Lombardi Trophy to Philadelphia, the only coach to have a statue in bronze sitting outside Lincoln Financial Field, is no longer the coach after a conversation with Jeffrey Lurie gone bad. The organization has been leaking all sorts of bad information about Doug to try to make him look bad. It's been fascinating. This business is a nasty one. So why let him go? Well, Lurie pointed to a difference in the vision of the future.
My vision is much more, how can we get back to the success we've had and what we're used to in the next, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And so it's not a difference of opinion, it's a difference of where we're both at. And I really feel it's, it was in both of our interests to proceed on our own sort of paths that way.
And Howie Roseman is somehow, some way, still the last man standing. At this point, he will have survived 3 coaching changes. Lurie said a whole lot of strange things in his 41-minute press conference to announce Doug Peterson's firing, often contradicting himself and more often glowing about the job that Howie Roseman has done as GM, even at times giving him credit for things he wasn't even responsible for, and defending his very shaky draft record. Roseman has been around for a very long time. The question is why? And one thought is that maybe he's not making some of these mistakes. Maybe Lurie actually has more say in things than we think behind the scenes. Maybe it's Lurie who is making these calls and responsible for some of the bad moves more than it is Howie. This reeks of dysfunction. So now the question is, who would be the next head coach they bring in here? And can they actually bring in the guy that they want? And I'm not sure the Eagles is such an attractive one. After all, the quarterback situation is not good right now. Nobody knows who the quarterback will be. And the Eagles have the second worst salary cap situation in the entire NFL. So basically, this is like a bad soap opera you just can't turn away from. And there are sure to be many more plot lines to come. For Sports Flash, I'm
Now before you comment, here's Michael Howley and former ESPN anchor Michael Smith, the brother from another show on Peacock Network. I didn't even know he even had a show. I didn't even know Peacock Network did sports. But here they go talking about Doug Peterson and the Eagles.
So I want to stay in Philadelphia, though, because we never really, we reacted to Peterson getting fired, but we never reacted this week to Jeffrey Lurie's explanation, where he channeled his inner, was it William Money, I want to say, from Unforgiven. A little Deserves got nothing to do with it. There's a little Clint Eastwood, right. Deserves got nothing to do with it. Or if you're a Wire fan, Snoop Pearson, Deserves got nothing to do with it. You know, whichever you prefer. But he basically said that.
Yeah, a little more contemporary, Doc, with The Wire as opposed to Unforgiven. Okay.
But you know, it's like he said he wasn't about whether he deserved it. He said he lacked vision for the franchise, which I thought was low key insulting. You know, like if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm like, damn, dog, like lack vision. Like that's it doesn't get much worse than that for
I was gonna say lack vision. Why don't you go ahead and say I lack imagination too?
Yeah, you know. Or at minimum they didn't agree on the vision. Well, the vision specifically, according to Troy Aikman, that vision seems to be who will play quarterback. Troy Aikman said that he talked to Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson told him that the owner wanted Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson was like, no, Jalen Hurts is my guy. But of course, the Eagles have a lot of money committed to Carson Wentz, and they disagreed on that. And so for me, and even you go back to the Ian Rappaport report, Peterson, generally speaking, was tired of being told what to do. Yeah, I mean, that's a big disagreement right there. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense.
I was tired of being told to tank.
Because the rest of it to me just didn't add up. It was too vague. It was it was like, wait, the tanking thing at the end of the year, and like what's the disconnect here? Well, if it's as simple as they disagree about who the quarterback's going to be moving forward, and Lurie not wanting to eat, the cap hit or whatever money that's owed to Carson Wentz, or they don't feel like they can move him realistically, and he's got to be there, or he just wants him to be a quarterback, that's a deal breaker. So I would say the big winner might be Doug Peterson, because I know he's out of a job right now. He's out of a job right now, but there's certain jobs like I'd rather not have. And if I'm being forced to coach the wrong quarterback in my mind, then yeah, you know what? I'll take with the money that's owed to me. I'll chill, or maybe somebody else will school me up this year, where I don't have to be forced to coach a quarterback that I think is the inferior one on our roster. And also, I would say that's a mistake by Jeffrey Lurie. If that's his stance, that he's telling the coach who the quarterback should be, I think that's a mistake.
Oh, man, it's a classic debate. Didn't this go back to, remember we were talking about Shad Khan,
the one you were wrong about?
Who I'm sure we'll talk about very soon. And how I was on board. I said, look, the guy's sitting around for like 10 years. See, like at least Shad Khan had an excuse, because his team has never even played in a Super Bowl. And since he's taken over the Jaguars, he's seen nothing but L's like week after week after week. Players coming in, players going out, coaches coming in, coming out, lots of vision boards, lots of slide decks, I'm sure he's seen, 5-year plans, 3-year plans, 2-year plans. It's like probably just sick of it. Like, come on, let me get in here and see if I can do better than these clowns who are supposed to be football operations guys. But Philadelphia, Jeffrey Lurie, in a sense, depending on where you're coming from, should know better. I mean, they won a championship in 2017. Peterson was the coach then. He trusted him then. That was just 4 years ago. So really, Mike, it comes down to how you see the role of ownership. I can see Peterson's position all the way. I am here to win games. They asked me to figure out the best leader, the best quarterback for this team. In my estimation, that's Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to think about how much money he makes. I'm not going to think about the investment, the organization.
It ain't your money, that's why.
I'm just going to tell you, Jalen Hurts is the guy, and I'm not going to lie to say what the owner wants me to save my job. But on the flip side, look, I understand where Lurie's coming from too. It's that money. But wait a minute, how are you going to tell me this now?
Bingo.
This guy, 27 years old, not a washed-up court. Figure it out. He's our franchise quarterback. You mean to tell me you're Doug Peterson, you're this offensive mind, and you can't tell? Like, I've seen Carson Wentz. Is he a lost cause? You're telling me he's a lost cause? So I get I get it.
No, I do, and I want to.
But I'm still on Doug Peterson's side on this one. I'm on Peterson's side on this one.
For the sake of accuracy.
Because you're asking him, Mike. You're asking him to coach the team. You're not saying coach the team and make sure you play the most expensive guys.
There you go.
Yeah, this ain't shopping for the groceries. This is what you're cooking, and this is the ingredients you're using. Oh, that's cool. Little soundtrack. So,
I like
it. For purposes of accuracy, this is the quote from Leroy. I would say the difference in vision. I think we saw there were reports that he lacked it, but the difference in vision is much more about where we're at as a franchise. It's a transition point. So a little Jules Winfield there. Then in a transition period, they got to get younger, and we have a lot more volume of draft picks. And we have to accumulate as much talent as we possibly can that is going to work in the long run with the focus on the midterm and the long term and not how to maximize 2021. So he said it's not fair to Doug because his vision has to be, what can I do to fix this right away? And what coaches can I have that can help me get to a smoother 2021? So that's fair, too. If it's like, hey, we're trying to basically tear it down or transition that's going to take a few more years, whereas Doug is trying to, have a quick fix with this.
Yeah,
but
I don't know. Because if you're trying to tear it down,
I guess that's what I'm reading into it.
No, I'm just saying, like, okay, then Doug Peterson saying he wants Jalen Hurts should be all right with you. He's a younger quarterback. He's a cheaper quarterback. And he is going to be a part of this new wave in Philadelphia Eagles football. And, of course, it's probably going to be what's the number? I think it's like $21 million in dead money if they were to move on from Carson Wentz. That's not, it's not ideal, but other teams have done it. That wouldn't even be top 10 in the league in terms of franchise that are carrying dead money around.
Yeah.
You probably go with that.
All right.
This is Philadelphia.
Lori
they don't do that.
Disagrees with him. Maybe he just disagrees. And there's money, and hey, I got a disagreement. I think Carson Wentz is better than you think than you're saying he is.
Listen, as you said about Shah Khan, it's his team. You do what you want. Sometimes you got to let people be great somewhere else. And if you feel like you're evaluating,
I love that line. I love that line.
Yeah, I know.
I can't wait to use it.
If you feel like what's but I will say this in defense of Leroy, which I do appreciate because it's part of it. It's like we talked about this. What kind of grace period should somebody get? And I do want to transition to another team, but what kind of grace period should you get after winning the Super Bowl? It's like, wait, it's been in the playoffs 3 straight years. You won your first Super Bowl a couple years ago. Like one bad year for a number of circumstances, and he's out. But I think there's also something to be said for not being sentimental and nostalgic and being, indebted to somebody for what you did a couple years ago. What have you done for me lately? Or what? And not in the NFL or just in life and in business, it's not so much what have you done for me lately, but what will you do for me moving forward? And if he doesn't think that that Doug Peterson is the man moving forward, regardless of whether it feels sudden or too soon after the Super Bowl, that is forward thinking, and so we'll see what they end up with.
Now, first of all, Judgemental Leroy was right on the damn money. What I said, and 2 episodes? Yes, I was.
No, you wasn't.
Second of all, before we get to that, I don't believe that what he said about how they wanted just to rebuild all over again. First of all, the Eagles aren't that bad where they have to rebuild, have to start from scratch over again. The thing is what I said. Peterson didn't want Wentz as a starting quarterback, and Jeffrey Lurie did because of all that money they paying him. Plus, for some reason, he's got some type of hold on. Wentz got some type of hold on Howie and Jeffrey. I don't know why. He's not even built like that, and it never did anything for them to be all pro Wentz. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's got to be something else involved. It's almost like how the Cowboys kept investing in Tony Romo, even though Tony Romo couldn't even win the playoff game. You know what I mean? But he kept getting a contract. The owner kept praising how good he was. It's almost like that. But at least Romo had winning seasons. Carson Wentz only had really one good season. out of 5.
Right. And now, what was you saying about how judgmental Leroy wasn't right on the money?
Well, because you said we had to trade him.
I said
we didn't trade him.
No, I didn't say they have to trade
Yes,
him.
you
I
did.
said if they couldn't trade him, then he's
I
going to be the
said
starting
that.
quarterback.
You did say that.
Oh my
because,
goodness, man!
Hold on, I just said you did say that, but
okay.
I said what I said is we can't trade. You and the other guy kept saying that we have to trade him. I said you can't trade him because he costs too much. Ain't nobody gonna want him. Y'all said we have to trade him. I said no, we're gonna keep him, have him fight for the job. You said if we don't trade him, you said we got to trade him, but if we don't, then he's your starter. So you did say that part, but your initial point was we have to trade him.
No, my initial point is he's going to be the starting quarterback next year. Can you give me my props?
Because, like I said, you say so much stuff. So even when you wrong, you always have something else to say. Oh, so I said I was right again. You know what I mean? So if you have so many different opinions on something, you always going to be right, and that's bullshit.
So you gonna give me? Are you gonna give me my props?
Go back and listen to the podcast. You and the other guy said we have to trade him, and we didn't trade him. So
can you just give me a thumbs up?
No.
Why not? Just give me a salute. Nope. Give me something, because I said Wentz is going to be the starting quarterback. If they can't trade him, Wentz will be the starting quarterback. There is no quarterback competition.
That's what you said.
There is no quarterback competition because you're not going to my $21 million quarterback ain't competing to be a starter. If you're not hurt, your ass is starting. Now there's a article that came out, a Philadelphia Inquirer article that came out yesterday on a disarray between Peterson, Carson Wentz, and the Eagles. Here's a YouTuber, Manny Mays, talking about the article, and we'll get more into it after he's done.
Yo, what's up? So, I just seen the article. The article calling out the bad behavior of our supposed franchise quarterback, Carson Wentz. I already knew about the reports that came out when he would kill, you know, audible Doug Peterson's plays, but I didn't know about the film session stuff, and I didn't know about Press Taylor. So apparently, what Carson would do was there would be you know how it is if you play football, you have film sessions, and then you watch your film, you know, and they ask you, like, if you messed up on something, there's a clear mistake on the screen, they'll apologize, you know, the little pointer, be like, so why didn't you do such and such, you know. They said specifically in that article, they said there was an example where Carson had a designed play and the receiver was designed to be open on that play, and the receiver was open, but he didn't throw the ball. And we've seen it. There's no excuse for this.
I see that every game with Carson Wentz.
Yep.
Serve it.
And this is the Eagles' fault too.
Serve it. He wouldn't run. He would just be looking downfield, and he'll get sacked. He'll give up a sack. And, you know, sometimes he would knock us out of field goal range with that. But, you know, he asked him about it. Press Taylor asked him, why did you not throw the ball? The design play was open. The coverage was the coverage we expected, and he was open. You didn't throw it. This man Carson said, oh, the pass rush got there. Carson, I know our offensive line this year wasn't so good. I know we had injuries. But, bro, you can't just sit in a pocket for 6 seconds. Especially when we're playing a team with a good pass rush like Washington or something. You can't just sit there for 5, 6, 7 seconds and expect your line to just hold them there. Sure, you can't even expect that even if they get in a certain coverage and only rush 3. These are NFL linemen. These are NFL defensive linemen. They're the best of the best. This isn't college. They're trained athletes who start in the NFL. Trained professional athletes. But he gave the excuse. He would give irrelevant excuses. The article said, and that shed a new light. I didn't know about that. I knew about the audibles and all of that, and I would get on him about that. I would be like, "What's Carson doing? Obviously, what you doing not working." But at the same time, I didn't really give it that much thought because what Doug was doing wasn't working.
How do you know it wasn't working?
So I believe that nobody knew what they was doing.
But how do you know
It's
that?
just a lack of accountability. And
You don't know if Carson changing it up.
Exactly.
Players who want to chime in and they're staying anonymous, But there was a player who had spoke to this source. It was a veteran player, they said, who would obviously remain anonymous. And he himself said Carson doesn't take responsibility for what he does. And that was a problem because they would ask Carson, like, all right, do you want to correct this in practice? And Carson would say no, because it's not my fault.
Eagles' fault.
What?
That's
How
the
did they let
Eagles'
him get
fault.
away with this?
That's what I'm saying. It's the Eagles' fault.
Just because you had all those other good years, doesn't mean
All those other good years. Exactly.
What other good years?
Exactly.
It's just gonna go away, bro. Practice, dude. Like, that's what practice is for, bro. But I don't know. That shit.
Like now, if it was Tom Brady doing that shit, I give you that.
Yeah, right.
Video said, I don't remember the dude's name, but I know he's commenting a lot. I still don't know who should start, bro. Because you think about it, like, even if Carson does start,
he will.
Are we gonna have another coach who just
don't get hurt again?
Let him do what he Press Taylor, let him do whatever the hell he wants, bruh. This man's coach asked him if he wanted to correct something. You see him make a clear mistake on film, you don't ask nothing. You tell him in practice, do that play again and get it right. What the hell do you mean, do you want to practice it? Are we going to get somebody who's going to be like Carson? Stop being a little bitch. Go out there and fix what you just made a mistake on. Or are we going to get another Press Taylor?
That to me, that's too much talking.
He was clashing with Doug, even though what Doug was doing wasn't working either. I could understand. But at the same time, it's like, Carson, you're a player. And obviously you calling your plays at the line isn't working. So, like, you might want to listen to him. But yeah, the sheer arrogance of that, it threw me off. And I knew a lot of people were saying, like, oh, Carson's an arrogant player. He's this and he's that. But, I didn't know it was to that extent to where he'd be in the film room saying it's not my fault. And the coach would just be like, oh, okay, it's film. It's right there. It is your fault. Yeah, man, let me know what y'all think in the comments below about this.
I don't know what type of hold that man have on Jeffrey Lurie and Harry Roseman, but that's just all that talking, like go out there and fix it. That's just too much talking, because he should automatically know that if you watching film and you fucked up, he should automatically know that he should go out there and try to fix it. If you don't, then what the hell are you being a quarterback for? So about the killing plays, there was a disconnect before Wentz was benched though. Peterson will call a play only for his quarterback to occasionally kill it for apparently no other reason other than his personal distaste, sources said. It became a pissing match between the two, one of the sources said. That's Peterson's fault, because now I want a quarterback to look at something. I might have picked a play and he don't like how the defense going to react to that play and they'll kill it at the line and pick another play. Now, see, I like that. That shows that you thinking. But if you just killing shit just because you don't like me or something like that, Peterson should, first of all, I'm gonna ask you why you kill it. If you don't give me no good reason, your ass is sitting on the bench. That's Peterson's fault for allowing that shit to go on.
I think Peterson was hands tied behind his back. Our owner gave Chip Kelly so much power, and Chip Kelly fucked it up. So when Doug got hired, he wasn't going to give Doug that same power. But after Doug won you a Super Bowl in like his second year, you should give him the power to make the decisions.
So Roseman, owner Jeffrey Lurie, and other Eagles leaders, however, treated Wentz as if he had won that championship. They allowed him too much influence in the draft, free agency, and coaching decision. And while he played a large role in getting to the title game and to the postseason, the next 2 years he was only 6 playoff snaps and 5 years to his name. But yet you let him be like the big man on campus on a team.
He had one good year out of his 5 years, and people always focus on that one good year like this is who he is. No, you got to take the other 4 years into play. Like his 57 completion percentage this year, that was like 35th in the league. It's only 32 teams, so that means his bench warmer's higher than you. And then for his career, he's only a 62%. 62 would be worse in the NFL right now. Like, that's crap. Like, he's not accurate and he need to work on it. But he's so cocky and arrogant, you can't tell him nothing. And like when we watching the game, all game, you would hear him at the line say, kill, kill, kill. And I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that he was, I know he audible when he did that,
right.
But I didn't know he did it so much. And you can, if you watch the game going back now, you would see him killing a whole bunch of plays.
Yep. It's unclear what Peterson said. He asked colleagues for their opinion on what to do after his initial meeting with Lurie. He seemed surprised when it was suggested he keep both quarterbacks, a source said. He like, well, why I want to keep him for? And I agree with him. Why would you want to keep him? You keep killing plays. Like I said, I think that Doug Peterson was fed up, and it was just like a quitting thing. Like he'll say something to Jeffrey Lurie just so Jeffrey Lurie can fire him. But he really wanted to quit.
Right. It probably was. You got a quarterback that won't listen to you and an owner that won't listen to you. So you pretty much can't do shit.
Right. So what they're saying is Ryan Day is a front runner for the next coach of the Eagles. Ryan Day, the Ohio State coach, correct? Is he the Ohio State coach? Yeah, he's the head coach for the Ohio State. So 41 years old, born in 1979. Do you have an opinion of him, or how does Ohio State, you went to college football, so how does Ohio State look?
They was all right, but they just got their ass kicked.
Okay, well, he might have been already mentally I'm getting the fuck up out of here, so I don't care what they do. And speaking of that, what's up with Urban Meyer? There's going to some form of Kyle scandal coming up. Because why the hell would Urban Meyer give up that crumb cake job to coach the Jacksonville Jaguars? And you can't say money because he's making money in Alabama.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask your opinion on Ryan Day, so.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on him.
Well,
I mean, that's not one of my 3 coaches. We talked about the coaches I wanted to see here.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? Whatever coach we get, they're going to have to work with Chip Kelly. And if Chip Kelly the same arrogant asshole, then we're going to be in the same boat. But what's going to happen?
You mean Carson Wentz?
That's what I mean, Carson Wentz. Yeah. Carson Wentz. But what's going to happen if the new coach get here and Carson Wentz still have a stinker of a year? Then what? You know what I mean?
Right. And I just looked in. Ryan Day was the quarterback coach of the Eagles in 2015. So he has a little I don't history. Know. Yeah. So what you think about Deuce Staley coming to coach?
Well, they said he was going to get interviewed for possibly the head coaching job.
That's the black thing, though. I don't agree with that. if you just interview on me because they have to have that quota, that quack quota, I don't want it. I like no, give it to somebody else because I want to be in the running. Don't interview me because of the color of my skin.
I don't like his substitutions with running back, so I don't want to see him as our head coach. I don't care if he become a head coach somewhere else.
So we're filming this on Sunday the 17th. So yesterday there was the Packers beating the Rams 32-18, and the Ravens beating the Buffalo Bills 17-3. Today games is Cleveland versus Kansas City. Kansas City is an 8-point favorite. Do I have to ask?
Ask what?
Who you think gonna win?
Kansas City.
All right.
I mean, the Browns defense is playing pretty good, and I think Kansas City running back is not going to play today, so they might got a chance. It should be a close game.
All right, so we have the Saints versus the Buccaneers. The Saints are 3-point favorites. Who do you think gonna win?
I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I think you said that before, but I don't know why you giving Tampa Bay all these props because
The same way you gave Seattle props, and where they at?
That's different.
Don't even try it.
That's different. They ain't the same.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you're gonna talk about my losses. Are you gonna talk about my wins?
Your wins is my win, so why would I brag about my wins too?
My win is that told you that wasn't gonna be no damn quarterback competition, and Carson Wentz is gonna be the starting quarterback next year.
You also said we was gonna trade Carson Wentz.
Who knows? You never know.
Yeah, whatever. Let's talk about how you said Seattle going to be the champions, and they ain't gonna get up past the first round.
I said yes, I did. I said it both. I said it the last
like I said, you always change up everything, so you always got an option to say, yeah, I told you so. You said Seattle
wait a minute.
Said Seattle was winning the championship. They got knocked off in the first round.
I did. I said it in our NFL playoff preview, and I said it in our NFL season preview. I picked Seattle to win the Super Bowl. Yes.
You also had Pittsburgh going to, I think, the AFC championship.
Yes,
they got off in the first round.
Yes, I said
the Pittsburgh. Your expertise.
Okay, all right. So, actually, to be honest with you, the Tampa Bay and Seattle game, Tampa Bay and Saints game. I'm sorry, the Tampa Bay and Saints game is damn near a pick 'em.
It is.
I'm gonna go with Saints on that one. I'm gonna go with Saints. I really don't trust Tampa Bay in the playoffs. I like the coach though, but I don't really trust them. Well, the only props I'm gonna give them, they started slow in the beginning. They picked it up towards the end of the season. I give them that.
That's the score would have been worse than that if Godwin would have been having them 4 drops. He dropped 4 passes.
Yeah.
One of them being a touchdown.
Now here I ask you, what was you about to say something?
Nah, go ahead.
All right. I ask you this every week. Do you want people to follow you on your?
They can follow the Judgementals.
All right, you can follow the Judgementals on Twitter and Facebook at PNL Judgementals, Instagram at _Judgementals, and email us at pnljudgementals@gmail.com. All right, man. This was a good one. Thank you. And thank you for not saying, well, you were good at this, and yeah, you did say that.
Because you say everything, so you don't get no props.
Because
if it's a multiple choice question and you fill in all the answers, that means you're wrong. You're not right.
Okay. All right then.
All right.
Hey yo, man, it's your time. And fuck poverty. Get this money, man. What the fuck you gotta do, you know what I'm saying?
I can tell you're mad at me just by how your face look. You can check the status on my level, not my Facebook. Comments on my photos, that's why I stay on the low.